Drop on by the Clown Cafe, your favorite meals on wheels. The menu is disgusting and it's full of special deals. Nothing here is good for you, so grab yourself a tray, 'cause food's a little funny at the Clown Cafe. Drop on by.
While Terrifier 1 eventually gained a cult following in the horror underground, no one was prepared for the juggernaut that would be its sequel. Welcome to A Work of Art, the Terrifier 2 review. I already reviewed this one on my TikTok when it dropped on Screambox Halloween night 2 years ago, but I feel like I didn't get my full thoughts out on it. And as time has passed, actually, that review was pretty glowing, but I've only come to love the movie even more. I really love Terrifier 1, but I love this one so much, I got the Steelbook. The story of Terrifier as a franchise is just so inspirational, because it shows that if you really want to make it happen, you can. Damien Leone and his very small crew worked so hard and tirelessly for Terrifier 2 to happen. Production was halted by the pandemic, conditions were harsh, and that explains the huge gap between the first two films. They had so much that they needed to do with such a minimal crew, and they were interrupted in the middle of all of it. By all intents and purposes, this movie shouldn't have happened, but it did. Terrifier 2 is a whole different beast from Terrifier 1. With a bigger budget, a much bigger budget, they were able to make a much grander scale. And you can tell it right on screen. It's bigger.
It's bigger.
It's badder.
It's badder.
And is, quite honestly, at the time, was one of the most insane movies we had ever seen. And everyone was talking about it.
Yeah, is ArttheClown what the slasher genre needs right now? Or, as some people say, is it a little bit too much?
Our movie is so gory, it's making people sick in theaters. Viewers are saying they're seeing people throwing up and fainting in their seats when seeing Terrifier.
With the budget that was gained purely through crowdfunding, zero studio backing, nearly no marketing, purely word of mouth was the marketing, it became an overnight success. That overnight success is what catapulted ArttheClown into becoming the iconic slasher we know him as today. This year at Spirit Halloween, his face was everywhere. ArttheClown costumes and these sunglasses were in the same aisles as Freddy Krueger claws and Michael Myers masks and Ghostface costumes. Art is really on that level now with those guys. And it's so incredible to think that a character from a film that no one thought anything of at first would be catapulted into slasher stardom so quickly, but it happened. But Terrifier 2 didn't just give us a new iconic slasher, it also gave us an iconic final girl. In this story, we follow Sienna and Jonathan, played by Lauren Lavera and Elliot Fulham respectively. Lauren Lavera, similarly to David Howard Thornton, has become a recognizable horror figure on the horror scene rather quickly too. It's amazing what this franchise has done for some people and catapulted them to just be instantly recognizable. Her performance in this is actually quite good. When I first saw her in this, I was instantly reminded of Heather Langenkamp in A Nightmare on Elm Street, Neve Campbell in the first Scream, Jamie Lee Curtis in the first Halloween. Her performance just felt that natural. She fit right in. It was really good. And Elliot Fulham is also really good in this. You know, he did well to make me care about him. I didn't want anything to happen to Jonathan. In the Terrifier fan base, he's everyone's little buddy. Nobody wants anything to happen to Jonathan. But beyond those two, we're getting better acting, better writing, and dare I say it, just a little bit of lore. Unlike Tara and Dawn in Terrifier 1, who were just random girls from a Halloween party that ArttheClown was stalking, Sienna and Jonathan are implied to have a loose connection to Art via their father, who passed years before the events of this film. And that kind of goes into Jonathan's pseudo-fascination, obsession with Art, who, by the way, their mother is having the worst day with. She cracks me up in this.
Sienna, you left burning candles on your dresser all night? What are you, fucking stupid? I didn't do it. Get back to bed. You have school in the morning.
You mean I still have to go?
What did I say?
In addition to Sienna and Jonathan's implied connection to Art the Clown, what's also come into play is this demonic entity that's attached itself to Art the Clown and resurrected him. But this demonic entity isn't just a mentioned thing that has its presence all over the movie. That's definitely a factor, but no, it's actually given a form that we can see. Allow me to introduce you to the little pale girl.
Jesus Christ!
The end of Terrifier 1 saw Art die by his own hand, and then immediately he resurrects in the coroner's office with an unclear reason as to how. The beginning moments of Terrifier 2 see him resurrect, and then minutes after we're given our answer as to how. Meet the little pale girl, the demonic entity that not only serves as Art's sidekick, but also maybe his guide. This character is really great. Upon first watch, she's great because she's arguably creepier than Art, but she also adds a fun dynamic to Art. They're really great together. But this character actually gets better when you realize that she's actually a response from Damien Leone because he saw fans dressing up as Art, doing their own girl versions of Art, really showing just how connected to the fans he is. But what does it all exactly mean? Where is it all leading to? Why has this demonic entity attached itself to Art the Clown specifically? What is Jonathan and Sienna's connection to Art the Clown? Why is it that Sienna and not Jonathan has been chosen to combat and defeat this evil once and for all? If you wanted answers to any of those questions in this movie specifically, you don't really get it here. And that was kind of a main criticism of this movie, actually. And another criticism I heard that kind of leads into that was that it's a little overly long, and I didn't quite feel that at first. You know, I just love the movie so much, I was blind to that. But when I recently watched this as a double feature in the theater with Terrifier 3, I'm going to have to kind of agree, there is a bit of a difference in seeing it in a theater as opposed to enjoying it at home. It is a bit too big of a package for such little story. You know, one could argue that it is so long because there is so much lore to get packed in there, but there's a lot of ideas that we're told about, but none of them are really fleshed out. No, really, this movie has one job, and it knows it, and it does it spectacularly. With a bigger budget comes a lot of bigger things. A bigger crew, a bigger cast, better wardrobe, better cameras to film your movie with, right? But also better special effects. And that's really what we come to Terrifier for, if we're all going to be honest. When it comes to Terrifier 2, we don't really care about the lore and why Art the Clown and Sienna are locked in this battle of good and evil. That's all well and good, right? But there's not really much of that there for us to really latch onto it. No. What we're really here is to see Art the Clown do his thing, and he does it with a vengeance. Every kill in this movie is insane. They're long, they're excruciating, they're mean. They don't shy away from anything. They look so impressive. And after we'll call it the banana split scene in Terrifier 1, I think most of us thought, there's no way that can be topped with the sequel. What is Damien Leone gonna do? And he said, hold my beer, and showed us exactly how he was gonna top that. The set pieces in this film definitely proved that the effects department had not missed a beat in any of these special effects. But who has definitely not missed a beat, and in fact has elevated, is David Howard Thornton as Art the Clown. In Terrifier 1, He had to just be this creepy, unpredictable stalker clown that would be fronting at you 1 second and then smiling at you the next, right? It was a simple but effective performance. Here, because the set pieces are actually shown and they're so elongated, David Howard Thornton has to project even more that persona. He needs to elevate it. And in this, it's showing that Art is genuinely enjoying himself doing these terrible things. And because of this pure showmanship and talent that David Howard Thornton has, it comes through. It's uncomfortable, but it's so fun all at the same time. The best scenes in both of these movies, in any of these Terrifier movies, is when Art the Clown is just standing there messing with people, not even when he's attacking them, just gently being there, just being creepy. Now, the scene that gets talked about most, for obvious reasons, is the home invasion bedroom scene. It's the most outrageous, the most cruel, right? It's the most out there. It's what got people talking about this movie over and over again. But what I feel doesn't get talked about enough is the third act of this movie. I really feel like, and I know it's going to sound like I'm exaggerating here, but I really think that the third act, the climax of Terrifier 2, is quite possibly one of the best climaxes in all of horror. I really, truly believe that in my heart of hearts. And this is after having seen Terrifier 3. It still takes that top spot for me, this third act. Everything that this movie's been leading up to culminates in this third act. Yes, that's, how movies are supposed to work, right? But with how loosey-goosey the writing of Terrifier can be, no one's really expecting a third act that's really gonna pack a punch, right? You're gonna expect the killer to get his comeuppance, and then that's it, and then resurrect, and there you go, right? And that's pretty much how Terrifier 1 ended. The third act of Terrifier 1 just kind of ends, pretty much. No, this one is really going for it. It's being a movie third act. It's being a movie ending. And it's so surreal, and there are stakes, and it really leans into that supernatural good versus evil thing that they have been building up to this point. I put it on par with the climax of the original Evil Dead film. The original Evil Dead climax is probably the best climax third act in all of horror ever, and I put it up there with it. And whether you like Art the Clown or not, in this third act, it's just so satisfying to see him just get his ass kicked. With Terrifier 2, the franchise has become a runaway success, and through organic growth as well. No studio backing or anything like that. Just pure love from the fans is what made this franchise what it is today, and that's so great to see. Terrifier 2 is gonna be the entry point for a lot of people. By this point, it actually already is. There are people that have only liked Terrifier 2. There are people that have only seen Terrifier 2. They haven't seen Terrifier 1. And I think that's fine. While this movie may not have a lot of commercial appeal, it is the more mainstream one. It became the more mainstream one. A lot more people gravitated towards it because of the way it's shot and the way it's presented. So if you're new into horror or new to the Terrifier franchise, I can see this being a good starting point for you. It has been for a lot of people, and I think that's really great. So with as crazy and bombastic and out there as Terrifier 2 was, there was absolutely no way that he could surpass this one, right? In terms of how gruesome it was, how brutal it was, right? There's just no way that he can top that. No, there is.